All right, here we are. All right, another live show. Second week in a row. We got second week in a row. We've got Baton Rouge talk show host legend Buddy Sanji with us here in the TigerBait studios, and got a lot to talk about. We're going to wrap up yesterday's class of 2021 signing class. We can talk about how it ended, what you think about it. Consensus looks like a nationally fourth-ranked class. Of course, this is the we're talking about now with the fourth-ranked class, and we're going to see what they do in the transfer portal. So this show is brought to you by Pride Roofing. Of course, they sponsor us every week. We want to thank Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez of being our sponsor. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them a little bit later in the show, but please do us a favor, like I ask every week. Hit the like button, share, please, and if you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And on Facebook, most of you are already subscribers, but do me a favor and share it to your Facebook feed and hit the like button. Very much appreciated. And so what do you think, buddy? What did you think about the signing class?
Late night here at the Scarborough residence on a Thursday night, getting ready to rain. Of course, LSU losing a basketball game to Alabama. Those two basketball scores in football. Very embarrassing. 4, 5, 6, or 7, whatever it is. Did they address needs, and how many of these guys will come in? And really, Mike, we talked about it last week, LSU and James Craig getting a little bit of a break this year because of all the offensive line guys coming back. They were able to only get 2 offensive linemen, but I know you like both of them. But next year, they're going to have at least 5, and I've already gotten some commitments as of late. So, quarterback, we know that Nussmeier's coming in a little light and injured, so he'll probably redshirt, and we'll see how that mix. Walker Howard, I know you love him. Jack Besh, one of the intriguing guys. Everybody's always asking me, who's going to be the impact player? Is it Mason? Is it Sage Ryan? But I know you like Jack Besh because regardless of what he runs, 50-50 ball, and we're both in agreement, let's not put 20 pounds on him and put him as a hybrid tight end.
And the thing about him is, Gilbo asked me Mike, give me your, he wanted to do the top 5 players in the freshman class to play. And so I sent it to him and I said, it was contributors. He goes, no, I wanted top 5 starters from guys likely. I was like, no, you got 20 or 22 starters back. Freshmen aren't going to come in and start. But I gave him 5 contributors, and I can tell you what I'm hearing from LSU is Derek Davis is the guy that they're nailing down is the guy that they're impressed with so far in workouts, midterm enrollee, and they really think that he's going to be a guy at safety that can come in and play right away. Jack Besh is a guy that I think is going to be a contributor, but I think Avery Atkins and Peyton Todd are going to go at it for the punting spot, and then Mason Smith. I have Savion Jones as the number 1 player in the state of Louisiana for 21. But I didn't put him in my top 5 because I think with what LSU's got returning at the end spots, I think he can play, but I don't know as far as contributing, and then I'm talking about number of plays. I don't know that he's going to be in that top 5 like some of the other guys. But I think, let's say, I don't know what he's weighing right now. I'm guessing 255. I don't think it's going to be hardly any time where he's 275. I mean, his body can absolutely carry it. So we're going to see how this plays out. But Savion could be a guy that could end up, being one of those guys. So it's going to be interesting. You brought up the basketball team, and it's we were talking about it before we went live, and I'm like, if you think about where Will Wade was, just as far as local support, his approval rating, whatever you want to call it, compared to where it is now, I'm amazed by what I'm seeing on comment sections, on our videos, on YouTube, on our message board. I mean, the shine has come off Will Wade, and I don't know what the answer is. And then you say, okay, well, what's the future look like? And usually under Will Wade, you could say, okay, look what he's got coming in next year. I don't know that the recruiting going forward is there, where he's got the Trendon Wofford types coming in. There's no doubt all the stuff that went down with Dick Vitale and some of the recruits that he lost absolutely, I think, dented the program in setting back as to the trajectory of the program.
Well, let me say this about Savion Jones real quick. Ali Gay and Andre Anthony and B.J. Ojulari are going to be three guys that are going to probably limit his reps. But I like his size and I like his beast mentality. And it's just one of the things I think LSU probably didn't do a great job of in 2020 for whatever reason. Jaquelin Roy and other freshmen. I didn't think they threw them into the deep end of the swimming pool enough, because you only find out if they can swim and how many strokes they can swim when you throw them in there. And Coach O talked really highly about Jaquelin Roy, and we didn't see that many minutes. And of course now, as you alluded to, with all these guys coming back now, Tommy Moffitt's got his work cut out. Because as we know, last year they all got heavy and they didn't have the training table, and they came in with basketballs in their belly. And to their credit, they're going to be around another year. But it is interesting. How did we know Keishon Butte was going to be the freshman that he was in the Ole Miss game before Chase and everybody else opted out? So, you know, it's hard to try to project who is going to get their chance and keep it. But we know that Max Johnson and TJ Finley and Miles Brennan are primarily going to be vying for the job. And nothing against Garrett Nussmeier, but I think he'd probably be for on the reps at the start of spring, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's 172 pounds, shows up. I mean, he'd probably be 180 before you know it. But,
yeah.
But look, man, there's a real scenario. And look, and I keep saying each week, and people in the comments get after us, and it's like, I know the mistakes that TJ Finley made. You and I argue about it last year, but those are correctable.
Sure.
I think people are mistaken if they're discounting TJ Finley and think that it's automatic that Max Johnson's the guy.
Well, but
or it's even because, first of all, we don't even know what Miles Brennan's situation. I'm hearing more reports about his health, and some people going as far as saying it's over. So I'm not ready to go there, but I've had more than a few people say stuff like that. So including someone who's been in the building and been to practice, so to see what they're doing out there. But I don't discount TJ Finley. We got a poll on the front page of TigerBait.com right now where I said who's going to be the starter against UCLA, and it's a runaway between Max Johnson and Miles Brennan, and they've got TJ Finley at like 2%, neck and neck with Nussmeier, and I think that's wrong. I just think Finley's got a much higher chance than people think.
Well, the reason I said that about Nussmeier was not that he was 172, but we've seen Brennan, and he did well for the first three games until he tried to show he was as tough as Joe Burrow and got hurt. We saw TJ start 4 games, and we saw Max at the end kind of catch on and show that it factor as a quarterback that you got to have. And so naturally, there's an affinity to him because they won the last 2 games, and he only threw, I want to say, 8 touchdowns and 1 INT or something like that. No, and
I agree. And I think LSU would have won the A&M game with Max Johnson.
Yeah.
I believe that.
So, but it's fun to try and ascertain. We haven't had a chance. I know you did on Tuesday. I wanted to get your viewpoint. And, oh, by the way, you talked about the game to start in UCLA. Scott Woodward did visit with Jacques Doucet, and we're great friends with Jacques. He does a great job, and I got a one-on-one. And Woodward did say that they are expecting to play at UCLA in California in early September. So I know a lot of people are up in the air about that. Will they go? Now, there's been rumors about a game in Las Vegas. Scott Woodward, the AD, also said they are working on another game in another future year to play in Las Vegas. And you and I were just talking about it.
And who's the logical Las Vegas opponent? Someone from the Pac-12?
Probably so. Probably, who knows what
it'd be. USC maybe?
Well, we don't know. He's just working on it right now, him and Verge.
Can you imagine LSU fans in Las Vegas?
Oh, man. Look, I took a trip to Las Vegas and lost my butt on T-shirts. It was Shaq's. Shaq got tossed out playing the slots because he was 18 or whatever at the time. But LSU fans want to travel, and here's hoping that we get back to some semblance of normalcy, can go to the road games again, and see all of the things that we missed this year. I think that was a big part of it. And of course, since we've been on, Eric Gilbert established that he's going to Florida. Durante Jones, Blake Baker, and Andre Carter. Once again, I thought very impressive. Austin Thomas at the back end. Boy, Durante Jones, to me, that is night and day when you talk about Bo Pelini and Durante Jones. And I think if you saw the difference in age, but the rah-rah, the high motor, I think they're really going to communicate and trust these guys and hopeful that the players will do that. Because let's be honest, Mike, that was a disconnected football team, players to coaches last year.
No doubt. We've got, I want to get some of the questions. We're getting stacked up. Sorry, guys. I see Esteban in here. What's up, LSU Nation? Jared James Smith. Let's see. $45 million payout today. Let's see. LSU all day. Esteban. Let's see what he's got. Welcome in, Esteban. He's with us every week. Thanks for being with us. With the season disconnect amongst players and coaches and the violations, I'm definitely happy with our class, and we will still have a couple of spots to get immediate help in the transfer portal. Say what you want about O, but Coach O salvaging the 2021 season with the recruiting class and retaining players with the COVID rule. So not really a question. So
we said that last week. We said that was the real key, and we said it on radio, internet, TV, and your Facebook page. That was the real key because, Mike, there were a couple of weeks there for a while. Everybody was like, oh, man, 10 more players are going to leave, and all these other guys. I mean, who would have thought Dare Rosenthal would be back? Who would have thought Ed Ingram would be back? And who would think the Fabio? You remember Fabio in the hair? Austin Deckles would be back.
Yeah. Are you serious sports? Buddy Sanji is the best. Our buddy Blake Ruffino in the comment section. Eric DeLion, good to see you, buddy. Hope you two get together weekly like this. Good program it would be. Yeah, I'm going to keep getting Buddy in here as long as he wants to come. Remember to like this video, y'all. Definitely, Eric. Appreciate it. Hey, Mike, please talk about how Alabama gets around the 25 signee class every year.
I'm just glad he asked you that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do
you know?
I don't know either. But it's the whole deal about like the blue shirts, and we've been talking about blue shirts for the last couple of days because we've been talking about quarterback Cole Lord, from Brentwood Academy in Los Angeles, and there was talk of him getting a blue shirt offer from LSU on Monday, and we broke that news. And then he had a bunch of phone calls with Sarkisian and Cole this morning. And by the way, and Cole will back me up. This morning, his daddy, Blaine Lord, calls me up. Mike, he's going to Texas. I said, okay, well, can I run with it? Yeah, you can. So I tweeted out, breaking, Cole Lord's going to Texas. And then I let my guy in that market know, Jason Sucamel at Orange Bloods. And then he got it out on his board. And but then Cole didn't do anything. And then I had some people on Twitter saying, oh, Mike, you're ruining the guy's day. And no. And I think Blake went in the comment section, no, Mike didn't ruin the kid's day. The dad told him to run with it. And then Cole Lord went and hit the like button and acknowledged that it wasn't me that did it. So, but he's going to Texas. His older brother's there. His mom's a graduate there. I think he sees their quarterback room is real thin, and whether he's a preferred walk-on or a blue shirt there, he told Jason at Orange Bloods he's a preferred walk-on, but we'll see how that plays out for him at Texas. I think they undersigned by 3 or 4, so maybe that preferred walk-on can turn into a scholarship, depending on if they fill them all. But either way, he's heading there. But yeah, I think with the Alabama oversign, I think a lot of it's them using the blue shirt, and the blue shirt is, if a guy was not recruited, they didn't come on your campus, you didn't give them an official visit, and there's a few other things. I start reading it, and then some of the descriptions don't include all the little details, but I think at some point eventually they've got to count. So what each one of those guys is when you see Alabama with more than what you see, how that works, I'm not sure.
And I wore the appropriate garb to explain the answer. Yeah. I'm an old fart, and I was familiar with a gray shirt right here, but now you're talking about a blue shirt, and I asked you today or yesterday to differentiate between the blue shirt and the gray shirt, and we are all familiar with the gray shirt. So I don't know what kind of colors they come up here to stuff these players, and we know that Alabama can drive 95 on the interstate while they're taxing and doing their taxes and never get any kind of reprimand.
Yeah.
It's just what you get in the SEC. And oh, by the way, when you have 7 skins on the wall, you get the benefit of the doubt.
And they had 7 5-stars in their signing class.
Oh,
And I think if you combine one or the other networks along with it, you can get to 8 5-stars.
but it is crazy that tape got released last year by one Kerry Vincent that was taped in the locker room. And we knew that this was going to come back to bite LSU, because when you tickle and poke the bear, i.e. Little Bear, Nick Saban, Mike, I think he gets back at you. So let's see what will happen. But look, the good thing here, folks, is that I do think LSU is going to probably be favored in 10 of these 12 games upcoming in 2021. They will be a prohibitive underdog to Alabama and maybe one more. But with these,
I did the Zoom call with Jacques Duce on Monday, and
good stuff.
He was making little clips out of them and put them out on Twitter, and I had a bunch of people, because I said LSU's about to have a big bounce back year, and I think 9-3 is minimum. I believe that, unless there's, knock on wood, and I always knock on wood when I say it, catastrophic. If there's a slew of catastrophic injuries, and hopefully we're further along with COVID But I have a feeling we're going to be doing the contact tracing. I don't know where the end. I don't know if the site the end is in sight of that. But either way, I think 9-3 is the minimum. And I was surprised in the comments on Twitter, Mike. I agree with you. A lot of people think 11-1. I mean, the schedule's more favorable. You got all these returning starters. You got a beyond veteran offensive line. Your depth on the defensive line is incredible. And then you got an infusion of new coaches, which is going to bring you some excitement. So I had a phone call today with Michael Bonnet about another matter, and I said, "Are we going to get access to practice?" And that's still kind of shaky. It's iffy. I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful. But I mean, if there was ever a spring for us to want to be out there, it's this one. You got the quarterback battles. You got all the new coaches. You got a veteran team with a bunch of newcomers that you want to see who's going to be out there, and hopefully it's not just us getting the video downloads that LSU feeds to us. We get to get our own. But
we saw 2 practices last year, and then the third practice was on a Saturday. They held us out, and of course after that, COVID shut it down. I just want to see them have the spring, but as you alluded to, this would be a great year. And we understand this, folks, with today's social media and today's network of information. They want to minimize what gets out there. But on the other hand, look, you see those fans out there watching? They're the ones that pay the bills. And so a lot of people are thirsty to get back into Tiger Stadium, and there's always an insatiable appetite for LSU football news.
Joel Cunningham, where's the mask, fellas? We're supposed to be wearing masks on this show?
Well, I was going to wear a pair of sunglasses like we do on TV after a basketball or football loss, but we have socially distanced, and Mike does not have to worry. I have already had COVID, and so he can't catch anything from me. And lo and behold, as long as
other than being at the
our friend right here stays in good shape. Hey, look, love that little dog. It took me a couple times to enjoy your dog.
I figured out the key for Parker is to bring him upstairs in his crate and not leave him downstairs where he could act like someone's sticking an ice pick in him because he's got separation anxiety. So he's in his crate where he can be within eyesight of me and Buddy. So. And
I brought him treats tonight, so he ought to be a good guy.
Yeah. Let's see. Gerard Bryant, he's right before I went live, I tweeted out Brian Thomas update, and even though it's a premium deal, but last night we were getting that he was going to sign tomorrow, and then I'm told this evening that it's not looking like he's going to sign tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to change in the next 30 minutes and he's back to signing. I don't know if in the morning he'll decide he's going to sign and then he does it. I don't know what this is. This went from being dicey or murky, cloudy, whatever you want to say, to looking pretty clear, to being back to being iffy and strange. So let me see if I got an update.
And of course, Brian Thomas Jr. is the big receiver that LSU would add to this class. Coach O has already said he's talking to linebackers. I know this Mike Jones kid from Clemson is a guy that they have focused in on a little bit, and they're trying to get a linebacker, another transfer portal guy, or a grad transfer. And look, you want Brian Thomas to be at LSU if he wants to be there.
No, and he's a fantastic,
because he's a Terrace Marshall Jr. in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a fantastic.
Type of player.
He's a fantastic prospect, Louisiana kid. You really want to get him right there at Walker High School, and so
you got to be patient.
I think his teammate, Jalen Cook's enjoying his time at LSU, and Coach Mahaffey, he's going to have players, and you want to keep that going. So we'll see how it works out. I know I talked to an A&M source this morning, and their belief over there is that the longer it goes, the better it is for them.
Yeah, probably so.
And I'm like, but you know what they're basing it on? They're basing it on all the USA Today Title IX stuff. Because they're over there in Texas, and they're thinking what happened at Baylor is LSU, and it's not. So the sooner LSU can get their findings out, their internal investigation, the better. But this Brian Thomas situation, I still think it's LSU. But this is really kind of, to me, it looked like it was pretty darn clear this afternoon. And then right before we went live, it's now all of a sudden iffy whether he's going to sign tomorrow. It sounds like iffy to no, he's not. So we'll see. Lee Smith, great show, fellas. Who do you see stepping up and starting at the 2 safety spots next year? You want to tackle that one? I know they're high on Derek Davis, who I talked about earlier in the show, as a true freshman.
I think the linebacker play and the safety play, Mike, was mind-boggling. Now, look, we have both fought a lot of Bill Bush, and Joe Burrow and Joe Brady were the 3 Bs that gave LSU a chance to win a championship. And without Bill Bush, no Joe Burrow here. And we all know that has impacted LSU football for forever. So you thank Coach Bush, but for whatever reason, he fell by the wayside. And, I can't say that you blame Bill Bush for the safety play, but let's be honest. Todd Harris has hurt a lot. I know the guys on the team respect him. Missed a lot of tackles. Gave up a lot of big plays. Mo Hampton, a very physical baseball player who was hurt with baseball, missed a lot of tackles. And Jacoby Stevens is more of a linebacker who had to play deep, and he's not. He's more of a block safety and a guy that comes up and supports the run and blitzes, and they had him playing over the top, cover deep. And so safety play, look, Derek Davis, Sage Ryan. It's going to be interesting whether to see him play free. Jordan Tolles, if he gets his head straight. I asked people out there, why didn't Jordan Tolles play? They loved him in the spring. Something happened between spring. They've got some numbers. And as we know with the 2 decommits from the 2022 safety class in Texas, it's a reason because, and a lot of people think young Matthew Langlois is going to come in.
Yep.
But they will have the numbers. I think it's going to be interesting to see the DC coach and safeties. I'm going to say that position is going to be appreciably better this year.
Yeah, I think, and I think the linebacker group is going to be good.
Yeah.
But the linebacker core is probably the one that's the biggest question mark going into next year on either side of the ball. Offensive line every year is the question mark, and I think it's going to be less so next year, even though it's one of them scenarios you always joke about. First the good news, you got everybody back. Now the bad news, you got everybody back. But I think that group, and then with some added depth, I think the offensive line question, I don't think it's near as worrisome as it has been the previous 2 seasons going in at this time. And you got all the receivers, you got the running backs, and you're adding Corey Kiner. You going to have a great battle at quarterback. Tight end, Gilbert's gone, so now you wonder how they'll line up Besh. And then Cole Taylor. Nobody even talks about Cole Taylor. I like what I saw out of Cole Taylor.
Yeah, I do.
So there's some things you can do there. But yeah, I linebacker, and then if you want to say punter, but I think you're going to have an answer there, whether it's Avery Atkins or Peyton Todd.
Real quick, everybody talks about what they're going to play 4-3. Mike, you know this. Everybody in the SEC is going to the spread. You got to defend in space. It's going to be 4-2 at least 50%, probably 65% of the time. So you got to have a lot of safeties. You got to have a lot of corners. Got to have a lot of nickels. And as we saw last year, that wasn't real fair to Darren Evans to be on campus a couple weeks. And because Stingley was out and because Jay Ward was hurt, I mean, he got thrown in a really tough situation. So the secondary, but you mentioned linebackers, Damone Clark didn't play like a number 18. Micah Baskerville had some good moments, but I think with Strong coming in from the JC, Greg Penn the third, and others, I think linebackers should be appreciably improved. And look, this Blake Baker, now look, I don't know about you, he was an undersized linebacker. He's going to get the best out of every linebacker, trust me.
I think that group's going to be much better, well coached than they have been.
Yeah.
Want to talk about Pride Roofing, our sponsor of this show every week. Absolutely fantastic people. Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez. Like I always tell y'all, I grew up with Mike in the Faraday family in Sherwood Forest. Fantastic people. He's an LSU grad. And everybody, we've had a good turnout or a good response to the promo that we started running a couple of weeks ago. If you call them for your free roofing inspection and say you heard about them on TigerBait.com, they are going to foot the bill and give you 1 year of TigerBait premium for a year. And so you want to jump on that. In fact, I've got a couple of guys that I need to go in and get them hooked up tomorrow that jumped on that deal. So Pride Roofing, he told me today they're adding a new shop in Mobile, Alabama now. So based out of Albany, I've been out to their shop 3 weeks ago. They've got enough shingles and roofing materials in that yard to do 100 roofs. Commercial, residential, 5-year warranty on their labor, Better Business Bureau A+ rating, and Pride Roofing is absolutely who you want to talk to. Give them a call, 225-209-6866. Whether you're in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Baton Rouge, North Shore, they're real big in St. Tammany right now, Gulfport, Mississippi, Southern Mississippi, they've got you covered. And I saw some machinery there. They've got a contraption in a trailer that they pull that can cut sheets of metal. It's unbelievable. It's like a $100,000 machine. It's kind of what they call their secret weapon. And they make their own flashing. You know, the flashing that's right there on the edge of the molding, right there on your, right there where the shingles hit the roof. They don't use them builder grade. They make their own. This stuff is so tough, it'll dent your ladder if you lean it up against the side of your house. So Pride Roofing, give them a call. Tell them you heard about them on TigerBait, and you'll get a subscription to TigerBait, an annual one for free. They're footing the bill. So Pride Roofing, LLC, our sponsor of TigerBait Live every week.
I'll be calling them a little bit later. You know, I don't want anybody getting on the roof right now with all this rain and all this chilly stuff. I'm a hibernator this kind of year, and I'm ready for us to warm up and hit the golf ball. But look, I got a 12-year-old roof on my house. I'm definitely going to be looking to talk with him.
Joseph Giat, does LSU get Walker Howard next year and those two top quarterbacks in 23 from Louisiana? Well, Walker Howard's a done deal. In fact, it looks like they've got it worked out at St. Thomas More for him to be able to graduate at midterm. Going to be a lot of math that he's got to do. Poor Walker, I don't think he's going to have much summer school. Time in the summer to enjoy it. He's going to be doing a lot of classwork in order for him to graduate and be on LSU's campus at midterm last year. But they've got it done. I think somehow there's the course, I was told, there's only one school that's authorized by the NCAA, and it's Texas Tech. It's a correspondence course, but it's a lot of math that he's got to get done. So keep Walker Howard in your prayers. Class of 23, of course, we're talking, you got Holstein at Zachary, you got Arch Manning. And look, we'll see. Ricky Collins got his first offer from Memphis this week, outstanding quarterback at Woodlawn. I know Lester Ricard's got a quarterback at Scotlandville that I'm anxious to see. You got Reese Mooney at Denham. So there are quarterbacks in Louisiana, and then there's out of state. So this June camp, there's no doubt with Jake Peets and DJ Mangus there that they're going to want to have as good of a show out of camp as they had several summers ago when you had Caleb Williams, Walker Howard, Nussmeier, TJ, Max. You had the kid from his dad's a coach at Middle Tennessee, Luke Altmaier that signed with Ole Miss. They were all there. And I think they want to have a repeat of that type of turnout of the quarterback group in June once the NCAA finally gives us the word of, is there going to be a spring evaluation period? Is there going to be the summer camps? And they've got to get that done. There's no way you can go 2 straight years without that. I think that's really going to be a burden to coaches to do evaluations. There's only so much you can do at huddle. I mean, eventually you want to have the kid stand in front of you. You want to be able to look at him and size him up.
Sure.
I mean, pictures and Zoom and all that can only go so far in my mind.
Well, but it's so nice for an LSU fan. Do you realize for 10 years with Les that it was a crapshoot? And you look at the quarterbacks now, and you look that LSU went to the spread. I had a buddy of mine the other day, and he texted me and he said, I know it's been crazy, and I know we've had a lot of anxiety, and I know nothing seems normal, but did LSU really go to the spread? And Joe Burrow won a Heisman Trophy, and LSU won a national championship. He said, am I dreaming that? I said, no, and the best thing about it is, and we love the I formation, okay? We grew up with that. But it's so nice for the LSU fan base to finally say there is some stability, and now what you got to do, Mike, is juggle the numbers and keep everybody around, because as you know, an injury and an opt-out, and you go from 4 to 2, which actually happened with Joe Burrow and Miles Brennan when Narcisse and Justin McMillan left. So you can't ever have too many, but it's good to have LSU on solid ground with recruiting quarterbacks now.
Yeah, you mentioned Les Miles, and I had to go look it up. Kansas finished 51st in recruiting rankings.
Oh man, but I look, I'm happy he's still drawing a paycheck, but it's law of diminishing returns, certainly.
Yeah. Let's see what else got. Let's see. Glenn Thomas, Mike, give us your thoughts on Savion Jones. I just think the world of him. I went to a St. James walkthrough practice in August. Then I went and saw him again against Sterlington in the playoffs. And just his motor, he's a beast. You're talking about 6'5", 6'6". I'm going to say 255. Maybe he's 250. But his body and just the footage I shot, and you can still find it on the front page of TigerBait. I reloaded it for yesterday when he signed, or when it became official that he was a signee. And just watching him run and chase down the Sterlington quarterback. When St. James had worked up a lead, and it was obvious that Sterling couldn't continue to run the ball and try and eat up the clock and keep St. James offense on the field, where they were in throwing situations and they could turn him loose and bring him off the edge. It was a sight to see, because he's a bigger, taller Barkevius Mingo.
Well, look, I'll just say this. It's nice to see LSU have that cheetah package where they get after people. And, there were a lot of rumors. Let's be honest. When Eric Gilbert got out the last and left at the last 2 games, there were a lot of guys, Philip Webb and B.J. Ojulari and all those Georgia guys that LSU brought home to LSU last year. There were rumors they're going to leave. But I think B.J. Ojulari's got an incredible future. Oh, by the way, his brother was Georgia's best D-lineman at the end of the year. But Andre Anthony has plenty to prove, and Ali Gay is not a finished product. And then you throw in Mason Smith and Jaquelin Roy and all the guys in. Are we going to see Tank Gilry and him get over the injury? So, man, look, they got the bodies. Interesting thing here with Andre Carter. I know you were impressed with him as a former really good pro player. How quickly does he start bringing out the best of these D linemen? Yeah.
I said that Tuesday night. If we do get to go to practice, I'm making a beeline when they let us in the gate to go see the defensive line and Coach Carter working with them, because, you got to realize he's going to be like E.F. Hutton. Of course, they don't run the E.F. Hutton commercials anymore, so you millennials tuning in when don't know when you say when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. A guy that's only so many years, 3 years removed from being a player in the NFL, he's going to have their attention. I mean, he still looks the part. He looks like he can still suit up.
80 career sacks for him. So
yeah.
And look, that's what Ed wanted to do all along. He wanted more TFLs. He wanted more sacks. He wanted more pressure. And of course, let's be honest, that was a tough transition because LSU had recruited for 5 years for 3-4, and then all of a sudden they threw the 4-3 out there. But I definitely think the O-line, if they can lose the weight and get it too deep in the D-line, they should be appreciably better at the line of scrimmage in 2021.
No doubt. Let's see what else I got. Make sure. Love Jones's attitude, selfless player, Esteban says.
He said player first, scheme second.
And by the way, the folks at St. James, you want to talk about hospitality. I probably had about 200 grams of carbs. I had the jambalaya at halftime, and then they gave me a to-go box of the pastalaya, which was for the players, but they had so much left, they gave me a big, but I tell you, it's neck and neck between the pastalaya at Catholic Point Capee at their concession stand and the pastalaya at St. James. But Coach Valdez, I know you've had him on your show before.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
You want to talk about super people. And of course, next year, Shaz Preston, big-time wide receiver for St. James. And LSU wants really bad. State's loaded at that position again for 2022. St. James got upset by Church Point in the playoffs. I know they were kind of shocked on that one. I don't think that was an enjoyable trip home from them from my old neck of the woods. But they should bounce back. St. James is going to be good for every year from here on out. So. The $45 million. What do you think of that? I mean, the rich just get richer, but how much? What's going to be the forecast of what that $45 million is next year after COVID?
Well, this particular, they just announced it. The SEC just announced it earlier today, and I think it was almost another million added to the coffers of the 14 teams. Now, this went until August 31st, 2020. Well, as we know, football didn't start until late September this year, so now this next season is going to be basically from September 1, 2020 to September 1 of this year. And you and I were trying to ascertain and figure out, and Scott Woodward threw out the number of 80 million possibly, whether that's not money taken in or a loss. You can always juggle the P&L statement. But it won't be 45.5 next year.
But what? I mean, is it 25? I mean, what kind of hit are they going to take? Or is it one of those deals where it's less, but their expenses are less?
Sure.
Think about all the travel that they haven't been doing.
No doubt.
The travel's still there, but you're not paying for all the cleanup of the facilities.
Where you look.
But you still got to pay for all the scholarships.
Yeah.
So I don't know where is the savings versus to offset the amount of revenue that's lost, but. Certainly the big deal is why they got the football games in. How much of that football of not having an SEC baseball tournament? I mean, what's the money there?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know that that's a big loss.
No.
But is it the NCAA tournament where that's going to be the big chunk?
Well,
because you still had the postseason and the playoffs. You're still getting that revenue.
I know, but what I was getting ready to say is they got money coming in because they sure are paying some of these buyouts. I mean, John Brady told me many times, he said, man, I don't know about reincarnation, but if there is a second life, I want to come back as a fired SEC football coach. Muschamp. Gus Malzahn. I mean, all of them. They get these contracts and these agents do knock up jobs, but boy, if you get a gig, Gus Malzahn got a 7-year deal for $7 million a year. That's $49 million. I think you could even live on that.
I would love to be a fly on the wall if you had some SEC ADs at a bar and having a few drinks in them and talking about the buyouts and the contracts and it's like you can't collude, but they're just like because that's one of those deals where even if you're a coach, you just because I mean. When you start doing a hot board, in our business, one of the things you do when there's a coaching search, you put together a hot board and you start putting together a list. And it really is bad out there. You can have there's one or two pie in the sky guys, and after that it looks bleak. I always say, like after Ed Orgeron, what would have happened had Orgeron lost that game to A&M as the interim coach? Oliva couldn't have introduced him, I don't think. The next guy down would have been Larry Fedora. Larry Fedora ended up getting fired from North Carolina, joining Tom Herman's staff, and now he's out. That was the next guy in line, I believe.
Well, I can tell you this. I actually had a couple people that were on the board, and Larry Fedora was not going to wear the hat at LSU. I'll just say that because his personality, oh, are you kidding? You talk about a bad fit.
Yeah, but see, my point is those guys get up to that level, they get the job, and for a lot of them, it's to get the job. Because once you get the job and they fire you in 3 years, you're set for life because of the buyout.
Muschamp's an analyst now with Kirby Smart at Georgia.
I mean, that's why I've been laughing in the comments, after Pelini got fired, and everybody was saying Muschamp doesn't have any fire in his belly anymore.
No.
He's too...
Well, look, it's
caviar dreams for him.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, along those lines, Mike, we said it last week. You noticed all these contracts with these new coaches? 2 years? Coach O, you got 2 years to get back LSU on sound footing. What would you think Woodward would expect? Top 10 every year? Top 10 total program? Yep. Okay, you got 2 years to get well. Look, they lose 4 games this year. There will be appreciable pressure on Ed Orgeron in 2022.
Bart Smokey, my buddy in Alexandria. I'm on every Monday night on Tiger Talk in Alexandria. 96.9 says, just make it a couple of years. A new contract with ESPN will more than double their take. So, yeah, it's like even if the money is down, when that new contract they just signed kicks in,
Good point, Bart. And you did mention one other positive. No more Gary Danielson.
Yeah.
Sorry. I know he knows football. I know he played football. But those knee pads that he's got on his knees, Nick and Saban on both knees, I had enough of him.
Paul Escon's giving everybody the word who's asking, y'all can still listen to Buddy Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 via the TuneIn app. Absolutely. Thanks, Paul, for putting that in there. Buddy's on every day. TuneIn app.
PFM, one of my great callers and listeners. And look, man, this guy, he loves him some LSU football. But I will say this, I'm not calling him out. But, Mike, I don't know if you've talked to many season ticket holders. They opted out like players. And so it's going to be interesting, the decision that they have to make to go back to the stadium. And Paul has said it. I got to wear a mask. You won't see me. And I'm wondering how many people will have that same mindset. And how do you make a decision on season ticket holders when you're not going to know what the protocol is in March or April for September?
Yeah. Jeffrey Lewis, Buddy owes me $20 from 16 years ago. Laugh online. Tell Buddy good to see him.
Well, listen, that $20 ought to be about $25, so come by and check it out. I'll leave it with Mike. I guess if that's all I owe him, then I'm pretty good, huh?
Let's see. Jim Milano. I wish someone would talk about me the way Gary Daniel talks about Alabama.
Yeah. And look, it's not, and the crazy thing is in the 19 game, we all remember the tote that Thaddeus Moss exhibited and all those things. And I think that's what LSU fans get. Every replay, and he'd bring in his guy in the booth and the analyst, and he'd say, oh, there's no way they're going to call that complete. Of course, that was one time they all got it wrong, and LSU got a break for a change with Alabama and officiating over there. But Danielson is very talented and very knowledgeable, but I do think that they've had his fill. It's been long enough.
And the thing about it is, who was the guy before him? And he was the one I liked, Blackledge.
Yeah.
Todd Blackledge. I thought Blackledge was great on that CBS deal.
Sure.
And I don't know what happened if ESPN came in. Obviously, they offered him more money. Or there's no way that I don't know what happened there. Maybe one of you guys remember. But I have been hoping for years that Peyton Manning would get plugged in. Like, he does this show on ESPN where he likes to have fun and is kind of quirky and he's got a good sense of humor. But I just would love to see Peyton Manning as the SEC color guy in that 2:30 spot, whether it's ESPN, ABC. Where are they going to put that 2:30 game? Is that going to be the ABC game?
Well, it's interesting you said that because Ed Daniels, WGNO in New Orleans, told me today that he thinks Peyton Manning is going to be doing Monday Night Football here in a couple of years. And he turned down $18 million the first time. So we're talking about some real serious cash.
I just would rather him be SEC.
Well, yeah. But
and what's the difference in viewers between the SEC, a marquee SEC game, and Monday Night Football? Is it double?
Well, there's two obvious because of the politics.
You couldn't do both.
No, you couldn't.
Too much
do
breath.
both. But back to your question, this is the fun part of the ESPN contract. I mean, we all hate I call it the Bourbon and Cheerios game when you got to tee it up at 11:30. Who wants to put their bourbon in their Cheerios? But going to have 2:30 games, going to have night games. It's going to be interesting. ABC, ESPN, all those stations. And yes, we'll have some new broadcasters.
Yeah. Let's see. James Phillips, the recruiting question. Does LSU have a chance with Law, the receiver from up in Shreveport? Yes, Kendrick Law, Captain Shreve. He's an athlete. Could be a wide receiver, could be a safety. A lot of people think he'll end up on the defensive side of the ball. We'll see. I made a beeline to East Ascension in the playoffs on a Friday night, rainy night, and I was all set to go. And at 7:30, I realized it quit raining. So I jumped in my car, and of course, EA from here, that's 15 minutes up Airline Highway. And went and saw him. I got there at halftime, so I got to see him in the second half. It was a mud hole at East Ascension. But you could tell what an athlete he was.
Thought you were going to say a rainy night in Georgia.
Yeah.
The millennials don't know that song.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, East Ascension won that game. But I got a chance to see him. And I think he's a good one. I need to follow up with him. It's been a couple of months since I interviewed him. And but no, I think he's a heck of an athlete. The question is what position he's going to be at the next level. And there's a lot of debate on that. Chili Vic, Aaron Anderson. That's the guy I love from Carr. Mike, how fast is Aaron Anderson, the wide receiver from the 2022 class? I don't know what he runs in the 40, what he would be officially electronically timed. That's one of those deals, that we didn't get last year because of COVID. I know there's an Under Armour combine in Dallas. So I'm looking to see what the dates are, whether there's going to be an opening. The last opening we had in Louisiana was at East St. John 2 years ago. But yeah, I would be real curious to see what he runs, but I don't know whether it's a 4.4 or a 4.6. That kid is special. And watching him in his film and in the playoffs, I keep saying he's Josh Reed 2.0.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll do as good as Josh did over at Bogies, but he's going to be a hell of a football player. And when you said Josh Reed, you and I go way back with Herb Vincent. I told Herb one time, the way he just puts his foot in the ground and makes those cuts and make people miss, and still to this day, remember Josh Reed with 19 catches and almost 300 yards. And of course, Keyshawn Butte. Has it sunk in? 300 plus yards for that freshman last year. Oh, by the way, he's going to be freshman again this year. A lot of optimism for you Tiger fans.
Yeah, I think, what is Blaine Smith? I don't think I've ever seen a commit so quiet and secretive like Brian Thomas Jr.
Well, look, it's a three-headed monster. You got his mama wanting to go somewhere, you got his daddy wanting him to go somewhere, and you got Brian. So this is what happens a lot of times. It's a family decision. Are they going to let that young man make the decision? Or are they going to be very vocal and influencing where he goes? I think time will tell us. I know you've made comments about that as well.
Yep. Let's see. By the way, guys, always like to promo. Talked about it with the Pride Roofing, getting an annual subscription if you call them for a free roofing inspection. But also want you to go, if you don't need a free roof or if you've just gotten a roof, go to TigerBait. We want you as a premium subscriber. You get the text alerts for the breaking news. Sent out a couple of them today or one this morning. And I don't spam you. I only send you the breaking stuff. You get our newsletters, all our premium recruiting updates, our premium message board on there day and night. We want to have you as a premium subscriber to TigerBait.com. Go there and like I always say, choose the annual package. When you choose annual versus the monthly, you get billed one time, once a year. And when you choose that, you get basically you're getting 3 months free in your savings. So choose the annual package, go to TigerBait.com. We really want to have you as a subscriber at TigerBait.com and be a part of our growing community, our community there.
I got in trouble this Christmas. I gave a buddy of mine a yearly subscription to Mike, and he loved it. Unfortunately, when I saw his wife after the holidays, she was livid. She said, she said, you didn't send him over to the crazy porn, but he's on this thing all day long and I can't get him off of it. I said, I'm sorry, baby, that's what we do. And she says, I know, if you can't beat him, join him. So she's now looking at it a little bit.
We've got a lot of female subscribers.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
And they know their football too in this part of the country.
I mean, everybody knows Peggy. That's in recruiting, Peg Red, and she's active on our message board, and she's an awesome lady. So yeah, we're enjoying that.
I got a couple Kathys, one with a C and one with a K, who I call Special K. And listen, that's the one thing about South Louisiana women and people that follow football. When you see the pan shots of the crowds, it's awesome how much they get into these games. It really is.
Yep. Blaine Smith, is TJ Finley still considering a transfer? I don't know what's between mom's tweets and this and that, but like I said earlier, I think TJ Finley is definitely in the race, in the competition. I think Jake Peets, when he sees him throw the football and his ability to throw with velocity, the fact that he can get a ball down the field, the mistakes and the faux pas inside the 5-yard line, that gives that stuff can be fixed. I just think people are making a huge mistake in writing off TJ Finley. And I talked to a former LSU quarterback that says this offense is absolutely tailor-made for TJ Finley. So I'm not saying he's going to win the job, but the competition is going to be a lot closer than a lot of LSU fans think, just judging by message board comments and a poll on the front page of TigerBait.
You know, in 19, red zone offense was so incredible with all those touchdowns. It was mind-boggling how many touchdowns they scored in relation to field goals. But, man, I just hope Jake Peets and DJ Mangus and all these guys coming in, I hope they don't adapt that thing where LSU makes a big play and then they hurry up to the line of scrimmage and the quarterback sneak and they got to have a fullback to come push him into the end zone. I know a lot of people are doing it, and TJ Finley was the best one to do that, but I want to see some creative play and inside the red zone. It's what's going to determine a lot of outcomes. Are you settling for a field goal? You look at the Saints a couple of weeks ago, 2 field goals too early. They scored touchdowns, might not have lost that game.
Yeah, no doubt. Jordan B. agrees with me. Facts. People sleeping on TJ. Don't sleep on him. All the stuff that aggravated you last season, that can be fixed. He was a true freshman. Now, I get it. True freshman quarterbacks are a lot more successful these days because they're running these offenses right out of 8th grade all through high school. And they come in and we see what we see. But still, I agree. Jordan is on the same page as me. So could Brandon Harris' arm strength isn't enough? Yeah, that's...
Who's trying to put us in a Brad mood?
Yeah.
I took the bucket trip of my life, thanks to Jim Dummigan trips, to go to Lambeau. And I got to tell you, Mike, I've never seen a more mad fan base at halftime, because if you remember, Les had said, we're going to throw the ball. We practicing passing a lot more. And Leonard Fournette, with a tweaked bad ankle because they scrimmaged him 2 weeks before the year, LSU lost to Wisconsin, and all Brandon Harris had to do was complete the ball to DJ Shark on the sidelines, and they could have kicked a field goal, and the rest is history. But nicest people, but you know what? The cheese and all that other stuff doesn't measure up to our food here.
Gerard Guillory, Brandon Harris could throw to the moon but couldn't hit the side of the barn.
Yeah.
TJ Finley's not Brandon Harris, and he does have accuracy.
No.
He just has mistakes with putting the ball on the ground and making silly errors that, like I said, I think can get fixed.
TJ's a much bigger man as well.
Yep. Chili Vic, one more question. Does LSU still get Stewart, the 5-star defensive end from Florida? I'm drawing a blank. 5-star defensive end from Florida, Stewart.
I thought there was a Shamar Stewart that went to A&M, if I thought correctly.
Yeah, that was... I talked to Jason Howell about him.
That's my recollection on him. But.
Yeah, no. LSU was in the hunt there, but no. We'll see. He's 22, so.
Oh, he's 22. Okay.
Yeah. I know LSU. The last time we talked to him, LSU was looking good, But yeah, you got some other schools in there as well.
You know who nobody has mentioned on this thing?
Florida, Georgia, and others.
What about Bryce Langston? He signed late, was the 20th signee. I want to say they listed him 6'2", 250. I hear he's a disruptor, high motor. You see anything on him? Because very little was said about him.
Who's that?
Bryce Langston. The last guy that LSU signed. He waited a couple of days to sign.
Right, and
out of Florida.
Been kind of quiet, but
had some great issues now.
Yeah, and we're going to see how that plays out. But I liked his film.
Yeah.
So let's see. Anything else you want to cover tonight? I think I'm getting through all the questions.
The only thing that I want to mention is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire on Sunday, of course, everybody knows the Tampa Bay Bucks have 3 former Tigers and Kansas City has 3 former Tigers. But I was looking this up, and I want to verify it before I spit it out. But can you imagine this young man winning a state championship with Catholic High and winning a national championship? And look, I'll never forget Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the game he had against Alabama, 4 touchdowns and all that. But now, Mike, in his first year, the trifecta, high school, college, and now the Super Bowl, pretty special. I think Stephen Ridley might be the only guy that's ever done it, and he played a lower classification in Mississippi and in LSU and New England. But I got to verify a couple things. But what a trifecta with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they had a really nice interview tonight on TV.
Do you have a strong opinion who you're pulling for Sunday? Because I don't. I think it's going to be one of those deals where I tune in and I start watching, and then something's going to trigger and I'm going to be pulling for somebody. But going into it, I might be leaning a little bit Tampa, Devin White, but then, man, I got a soft spot for Clyde. So I don't know, man. Of course, Tyron. My history with Tyron Matthew. I don't know. This is a tough one.
Win-win for the LSU fan. You got three good players on each team. Brady, obviously greatest of all time, 10th Super Bowl. If he wins Sunday, 7 of the 10 victories. I don't see anybody coming close to ever touching that right now, Mike. 7 Super Bowl wins. Come on.
Are you an anti-Brady guy?
No. I'm
not either.
I like what he's done, and what's awesome is the Saints went over there earlier in the year and made Tom Brady look over the hill and slow and bad, and all of a sudden they came back and beat the Saints in that 3rd game. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, but no, I like Tom Brady, and what I like is what he told Devin White, who was very upset, says, God, Tom, I'm so mad, I'm so PO'd. What? He said, I didn't get voted for the first team All-Pro. And Brady said, hey, man, that ain't the bowl we worried about. We worried about the big Super Bowl. And Devin White said, that woke me up. Quit worrying about the individual awards and worry about the team. And oh, by the way, we didn't want to talk too much basketball.
Is there even a Pro Bowl? Are they even going to have one?
I don't think so. No.
Man, go to St. Lucia. Go enjoy yourself. Forget that. Who cares?
But I'm going to enjoy it. And look, I hate to be non-committal. I'm thinking, though, that Tampa Bay is going to find a way to steal this game.
Okay, and if Tampa wins, does Tom Brady retire?
No. Oh, no. He says he wants to play to 45. He's got another couple of years.
That's incredible.
Well, that model wife keeps him young.
Now, on your show, are you having Saints fans call in and say they just can't pull for Tampa because they're in the same division?
Saints fans don't have the bags on, but the Saints fans are not really enamored the way they've finished the last 2 or 3 years.
I'm not Andy Brady. I like the guy, so
yeah.
But I still don't know who I'm pulling for. But I think I'm leaning Tampa.
I'm pulling for both teams. I want a good game. I don't want a Dolly Parton game. I don't want a big old bust of a game where by the 3rd quarter everybody's going home from the parties, although, as we know, they are asking you to limit the size of these parties to try and continue to get the numbers down.
Yeah, I bought some, I got all the chips before you came in. I hit the grocery store. I don't know if I'm going to have a party, but I've got all the paraphernalia here, so... All right, guys, we done. We went 58 minutes. That went by in a hurry. You think it went by in a hurry as last week?
Yeah, absolutely, and enjoy it. I know I'm not much to look at, but I enjoy being up here, and I appreciate the fact that we're doing what everybody does around the coffee shops and bars and in the homes, so talking LSU football and talking, sports because, Mike, as we know, it's a religion in this part of the country.
Yeah. Thank all of y'all for being with us. Again, please hit the like button, share. Much appreciated. Go to tigerbait.com. Please subscribe. We want to have you as a part of our website and all that we provide there. We're going to be, when I get off here, I'm going to be seeing some more what I can find out on Brian Thomas. That's gotten more interesting and looked like we had it nailed down early today, and now it's now we're a little scratching our heads again. So this is going to be something we're going to be following on TigerBait on our message board. If I got some more tidbits tonight, I'll drop them in that thread that I started at the top for those of you already subscribers. So we'll be back next week. Thanks for being with us, and go check out Pride Roofing as well and tell me you heard about them on TigerBait. And